So we're here tonight to talk about what a lot of people in the vinyl community are talking about, which is Springsteen's new box set, Tracks 2, The Lost Albums. I'm here with one of my closest friends. His name's Jeff Vrabel. Jeff, welcome.
Thanks for. Am I your first guest?
I thought you were going to say first friend. I was like,
am I your first
you're my
friend?
first friend?
Chris, am I your first friend?
It's okay. I had my first friend at 46 years old.
You're 46?
Yeah. No, when we met, I was 46.
Yeah. Okay, good. Sorry. Thrown out there.
Yeah.
No, I'm glad to be here. I'm a big fan of the show. I'm a big fan of you. The show.
Show.
That's what I'm calling it. It's a show.
All right.
We've been messing with the lighting for like 15 days.
Yeah.
This is, and I'm pointing because you have Tracks 2 up on the thing. I don't have any way to prove this. I don't have the numbers. My theory, and somebody out there tell me if this is wrong, that this is the largest single drop of completed, mixed, mastered, album-length content ever. I'm not talking about like bootlegs or like Grateful Dead sets or like Metallica's 24-disc load box. I mean like
the Grateful Dead box set that's coming out with 60 CDs.
Exactly, like but live and even recorded outtake material. I don't think anything. I struggle to think of any kind of analog for what this is. It is 7 records at the same time. That's wild.
Has a well-known recording artist ever released even 1 or 2 records in the past that were just?
I want to say like Prince, like somebody like that. Like I'm sure there's examples out there somewhere, but I just mean what I wrote a review of this in my phrase, which has been thrown back to me by many friends, was profound girth, which I think is like it's so much to take in. We talked about, do we talk about this album by album? Do we go in chronological order, or do you just do it all at once? And I think there's some value for certain kinds of Bruce fans to just going all at once, because it's 83 songs, 74 never before heard.
Yeah.
So
it's 9 LPs.
Oh,
I thought it was 7. At least the one I ordered it said 9 LPs.
9
so I was
LPs.
like, 9 into $350. I thought I was spending about $50.
So you purchased this?
Oh yeah.
You.
Oh yeah. I have to get that story. So.
Say oh yeah again.
So, just also Jeff, he and I worked together, Silicon Valley at a tech company, and we were introduced by the head of the App Store because he came up to me and he said, "We've just hired a guy that you need to meet." And what did he share?
He shared, I believe, if this is the story I'm thinking about, my Guinness World Record.
Yes.
And thank you for bringing
Which
this up.
is what?
I'm glad you asked. It's a good story. Thank you, Chris. I am, and for 9 years have been, and my hand to God, this is true, the Guinness World Record holder for most Bruce Springsteen songs identified by their lyrics in 1 minute. Thank you. It's a lot to take in.
How many?
20.
Has anybody else tried to?
No, and if they try, come at me. I mean, come at me.
Sharish.
Give it a shot. Sharish, I know you're listening, man. Come at me. No, there was, I was a freelance writer. I'll do this quick. I was a freelance writer. I had an assignment for a sort of a motivational business kind of enterprise magazine to break a Guinness World Record. That was the assignment they gave me, and I said, which one? They're like, doesn't matter, we don't care. I don't have any skills or talents to speak of, but I had seen that someone had done this for the Beatles and someone had done it for Elvis. Turns out someone had done it for Bruce, but they only got to like 12 or something pathetic. So it took
12 in a minute?
12 in a minute. It's not that great. Yeah. It took me 1 shot.
Yeah.
There you go.
And who else have you written for?
I as I mentioned, used to write a lot of music stuff for places like GQ, Men's Health. I wrote for Billboard, No Depression, Paste magazine, Garden and Gun. I wrote for a while, and this is not the case anymore, but I wrote a good part of Bruce's official website, and I did that through my good friend Chris Phillips, who runs the Backstreets magazine and website. Chris Phillips, the greatest guy, and certainly a name that'll be familiar to the Bruce community. So I've gotten to do a lot of really fun stuff too.
Nice. Well, I think to start things, well, we're beyond starting things off. I was telling Jeff that I bought the box set on the day it was released.
You purchased it first.
Amazon. Purchased it first. Then I listened to it on Apple Music, and I was like,
Okay.
So, as you know, my loyal viewers know, I'm not working right now. So I went back and canceled the order. Then I listened to it more.
Was that hard to do?
No,
you just
Amazon,
did it.
It was on Amazon. I bought it on Amazon.
Yeah, we're not talking
because it was like a $20 savings or something. I think it was $330. And then I was listening to it over the next few days, and it was starting to grow on me, which we'll get into in a minute. And I went on to Amazon, no longer available. I went on to BruceSpringsteen.net, no longer available.
Can I guess what
then,
happened?
Of course,
lost your mind. Then it was like, we gotta,
Absolutely. If it's $6,000, I'm buying it.
Can I tell you two things here? And in the 46 years that I've known Chris, two things are true. One, everything starts like, I didn't really like that so much. You spent probably a good 2 or 3 week period pretending you didn't like Jason Isbell's Weather Vanes, and I was just sitting back, waiting for it. Comes around. Yeah. So I was waiting for that emotional adventure to kind of finish up.
Nice.
But also, and I think some of the viewers here will agree, that we're talking about like the psychology of purchasing something, which is tied to, but also kind of separate from the music itself. Like looking around where we are right now, this place is swimming in box sets and incredible memorabilia and books. I wish you could all see this, but this is the thing you do. You go all in on things like this. There are probably, and I'm just looking around, 400 Wilco box sets in the room that we're in right now. But that's
I don't think I see one Wilco box set.
They must be
down there.
Maybe they're under the bike. I don't know. I just mean that there is a psychology to this that you just alluded to, which is I must have it, but then no, I don't. And we're talking about a $400 thing.
It's like dating, right? If you can't get it, then you want it, right? Like
I've been married for 24 years. So
the minute I saw that it was gone, I was like, oh my god,
you must have it. Yeah.
And I went to the Sony website, and they had
one.
Now it's back on Amazon, so you can buy it again.
Well, this is a good thing to start with, though, is that we are talking, as I mentioned, 7 albums, 9 LPs earlier. $400. That's a lot. That's like half of a Bruce Springsteen concert ticket.
With tax and shipping was exactly $400.
So it's not the sort of thing that is necessarily available to average fans, maybe even above average fans. Like you have to be a certain. I really wonder how many of these they pressed.
But is it possible that they said it was sold out just to draw more people in?
If they did, it worked.
Yeah, it worked for me. I mean, if it was sold out, I wouldn't have bought it. So to that point, we don't have anything to show. We're not going to be showing, different albums. Although you've had the records for a couple months.
I had it a little bit. I wrote a review for Spin Magazine through a good friend of mine who's an editor
Which we will link to.
It is short. I had a little bit of a word count on that one, so it does not go as deep as some of the other things. But it was really it was my first one of those in a while, and it was fun to go back and listen to these things in the way that we used to do. Because we're a little bit older, back when you got something advanced and you just had to walk around and listen to it on your headphones and just kind of like take it in isolation. And that was a really wild experience. And I will say, and I think we had different experiences at the beginning. The first time through, I was like, there's a lot of really good stuff in it.
You did say that.
Yeah.
And my first time through, I was, as is often the case, underwhelmed.
What?
Yeah.
Really?
That has changed, especially in the last 2 days. I've been listening to it in basically all of my free time.
How do you listen to this? And
I go for walks.
You go for walks?
Today I listened to it in here in the living room, so I wanted to get comfortable in the studio space.
It is a nice studio space. I really like the producers have done a lovely job.
But do you remember Last FM?
Yes.
So I'm still on Last FM.
Oh
for those that I bet a lot a few watch my videos are on Last FM.
Mm-hmm.
It tracks your digital listening habits. Habits?
That
is not a word.
Edit that in post.
Look at the last week.
The last week, I believe that's 273 scrubbles. I don't like saying that.
That's a terrible word.
Okay, right.
For Springsteen. Coming in second is Bob Dylan with 9.
Right. Van Morrison, Sun Volt. What are we doing here? That's the Swell Season, Cat Stevens. This is basically the biggest cliche I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah,
This is right there. Yeah.
So that's like 4 full spins through, right?
Yeah.
8 times 4 is what? 8, 60, 32?
Do you listen to it? And this is what I'm interested in by people who are listening to this. Is do you go album by album? Do you just jump around? Like how?
I've done all of what you just said. Today I tried to listen through so that if you and I were going to talk about this sequentially, which I don't think we're going to.
We may never get to it.
Yeah. I don't even know why we're doing this video, honestly.
Well, no, I mean, but that's part of the deal with this. It is an overwhelming amount of content. It is designed to be a hammer. It is designed to be something that you listen to over the course of the summer or a couple of weeks or months or whatever it is. Now, you and I are both longtime Springsteen fans. I imagine people watching are the same.
And I just want people to know really quick, when I'm looking at, I'm looking at the
yourself
camera.
out.
The cameras. He told me camera on the watch.
Camera
know
on.
that.
There it
So
is.
just making sure it's still playing.
Free
Sorry
tech
about
support.
that. Keep going.
We've listened to a lot of things. We've had not just the reissues of Darkness and Born to Run and The River and the outtake sets that have cut tracks one, all the things that have come out before, but we've been listening to bootlegs for 30 years. Some of the bootleg material is available now on this box set. We're accustomed to large drops of unfinished or, side road bench players material. So when this came out, when this was announced, the first impression I had was, holy shit, I didn't know about a lot of these. And that was awesome.
I didn't know. I mean, Sugarland was playing right before we started this video. And you said you had known that song.
That one has been on some of the, there's
I didn't know
loads
that
of bootleg
song.
releases from that sort of liminal space between Nebraska and USA, and they've been out for a while. But I had no idea Faithless existed. I had no idea Inyo existed. I think you gave an interview where we talked a little bit about the Sinatra record.
Which one's the Sinatra record?
The Twilight Hours.
That's the worst of the bunch, right?
Well, we'll get to that. There's a lot to take in there. I think we all maybe knew there was some country songs recorded, but just I was excited, I was thrilled, I was delighted that there was something we didn't know about, and especially in this age. But even going back to vinyl and cassette bootleggers, there's a sense when you're a big fan of somebody that you know everything. That you flatter yourself like, well, I know he did this, and there's some songs that he didn't release, and then something comes out and makes you think, well, no, you didn't know that at all.
I mean, you said 83 tracks. I would say 75 of them I've never heard of.
Never heard of.
No.
And you've been in this for a while.
I haven't listened to Bruce for 40 plus years. I have all of his records, as multiple copies. All right, so just 5 quick questions to kick it off, and we'll get into the box.
How exciting!
Yeah.
Okay.
What's your favorite Bruce record?
Darkness.
What do you think is the best Bruce record?
Oh God, man, the camera's rolling. I got to do this on Born to Run.
Favorite Springsteen show that you were at?
This is a very good question.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was great. I'm gonna say this is copping out a little bit, but it's the last one. I went in 2023 to Wrigley Field. I'm a longtime Cubs fan. Been going to Wrigley for 50 years. 2 shows, and different casts of both shows. But basically, over the course of that weekend, I saw Bruce at Wrigley Field. The greatest ballpark on earth. With my family, my wife, my 2 sons were there. My dad was there. Friends came in that I've known for 40 years. When there is a show at Wrigley, the whole neighborhood turns out, Bruce everywhere, out of all the, and whoever it is, Pearl Jam or whoever it is, the whole neighborhood, it just gets very excited. And just the magic of those 2 days, seeing my favorite band in my favorite park with my family all there, I don't know that will ever be topped.
Yeah, nice. It's a good one. Your 3 favorite Springsteen songs. And don't give it much thought. Just
okay, Backstreets, Incident on 57th Street, and Racing. Yeah,
might be my top 3.
Yeah, there you go.
Favorite deep cut.
Favorite deep cut appears on this box set right here. It's Shut Out the Light. I can't understand.
Probably my favorite too.
What?
They should just put that on every record.
Every record. Just put it out. Yeah, it should have appeared on every one that came out.
Shut Out the Light and Janie Don't.
Sorry.
Those 2, the fact that they did not make proper records.
Ever.
And the version of Janie on here is beautiful.
It's
the country.
lovely.
You like it?
I do like it. I miss the synth. I like the synth on the 84 Janie. But this one I was sort of bracing for a little bit. I ended up loving it. It was great. Shut Out the Light is one of those, and some of these albums are like this too, where I'm just like, what was missing here? Yeah. What was missing about this song?
I think it's actually 6 questions.
Okay.
This one, maybe I shouldn't have asked, but I put it on here.
Oh, boy.
Favorite member of the band who's not Bruce?
Oh, really? That's a good one. Yeah. It might be Max. I'm just a big fan of just rock solid, utterly dependable. Heart disease couldn't knock him down. The health problems couldn't knock him down.
He found a way to do it when he was on Conan. Didn't he kind of do both?
He kind of did both. Just absolutely comes in and gets the job done every time, and gets plenty of acclaim, but maybe not enough. I don't know.
He's a very underrated drummer.
Very underrated drummer. Yeah.
All right, those are the questions.
Okay.
Now we can get into tracks.
Yes.
2. So as I said, I have gone up and down. Today I'm up. I walked for 2 hours this afternoon, and I was like, all right, some of these songs are really starting to hit.
Yeah.
I would say the 1983 record, the first one, I think is my favorite. Friends of mine, I know you guys will be watching this, Sharish and Scott are raving about that record.
Mm-hmm.
Put some notes here. Sugarland, which we listened to, I love that song. Little Girl Like You just sounds like a Buddy Holly song to me.
Yeah.
Shut Out the Light, we were just saying.
The Dark Song, Fugitive's Dream, The Klansman, tracks like that, where you're just like, oh, okay.
Yeah,
like,
that one, The Klansman I haven't gotten into yet.
It's, that's where you can see, I thought...
Richfield Whistle?
Whistle. And a lot of these, like, we were saying, a lot of these have turned up on bootleg compilations here and there. But to hear them kind of like cleaned up and presented in this way is really something. It makes you kind of stop and listen to them and make me like them a lot more.
Yeah. And then we have the Streets of Philly record,
yes.
Right? Which that is the one I would say in the last day or two has grown on me the most.
I would say that's the one, maybe tell me if you agree with this, that's the one that I am pointing people to first. If they say, like, what do I start with? I'm like, start with this loop, because there's this weird mystique about it, right? It's like the Chinese democracy of Bruce. That's overstating it. But, like, there was always the rumors of this hip-hop record, this loops record, which took on this weird mystique, because Bruce Springsteen doing loops, that doesn't make a lot of sense, even though a lot of people in the 90s did that. Now they had a whole loops record. That one I was like, I want to listen to this. And, again, braced for it. Like, this might not be great. And was very surprised by what I heard there.
Well, the one track, Between Heaven and Faith, is that the right title? It opens with the same open as the Eric B. and Rakim song. Like,
yeah.
Paid for Follow Leader or Paid in Full. It's the same exact opening. I noted One Beautiful Morning as a standout track for me, and The Farewell Party, which I thought was a great closer.
Secret Garden with the fat beat.
Yeah, I was never a big Secret Garden fan.
Same. What I liked about this album, though, is that it was not at all what I was expecting. So it's a Bruce hip hop record, or I shouldn't say it's a Bruce loops record. Weird enough. But then you listen to it, and like, this is a very paranoid record. It is a very dark record. It sounds parts of it sounded to be not unlike. This is going to be overdoing it for you. Not unlike Tunnel of Love, but kind of like the flip side, where it was very...
There's no overdoing
it. It just felt like the dark side of that. It felt very paranoid and unsettled and nervous. And I guess when this was recorded, he's a relative newlywed living in LA with his bride. But certainly the songs don't sound like that at all. They sound like, paranoid California. I liked that vibe a lot.
And I've shared the Philadelphia Story, or the movie Philadelphia Story, but it's worth resharing. When that movie came out as movies, I don't know if they still do. They always premiere in LA and New York. Is that still a thing, or is that not a thing anymore?
Yeah.
This was, when did that come out? 94?
93, I think it was, yeah.
It was premiering in New York City. So 93, I was home from college. Yes, I was a sophomore in college. Lane was home as well. We got up one morning and he's like, we're going to see Philadelphia in the city tonight. It was called Philadelphia, right? Yeah. We got there, the last two seats.
Really?
We sat in the last row. There was a standing ovation when it ended. It was classic.
That's
we went out for drinks. It was a great moment with Lane.
Mm-hmm. That's really nice.
So those first two, anything else you want to talk about?
I think...
Because it seems like those are the two that most people, at that end, those two and Inyo, I think, are getting the most...
Inyo is my favorite, and we'll come back to that one.
It's my favorite as well.
But I think these are the two that are the most interesting. One, because they're the oldest. They're the most historically interesting. And yeah, they've been rumored for a long time, and now it's here they are. And whenever that happens, whenever something becomes real from a rumor, it kind of sucks a little bit, right? Whenever something that's been famously unreleased becomes unreleased, you're always a little bit like,
that was Chinese Democracy.
Democracy, or several Prince records, or whatever, whatever it is. It loses a bit of its magic when it comes out. Yeah. So I was a little bit worried about that. But with both of those, I was really kind of pleasantly surprised at how much about it I didn't know. And that was nice. I've been thinking about this a lot, and I'm glad you're here because nobody else in my house cares. Thinking about this as kind of a historical document, right? Because it is. What you're filling in these spaces, these connection spaces in Bruce's sacred timeline. You're like, okay, well, here's what you know about, but also these other things were happening. And that part's really interesting. The bit where it's come out that he was recording the Loops album with members of the Human Touch band, which is insane to me. Like, after the Human Touch tour wraps up, he goes and does this, and like, I'm gonna go get Shane Fontaine and do a Loops album.
I love Shane Fontaine.
Really?
Yeah.
Is Shane? I hope he's watching.
Yeah, I mean the Lucky Town Human Touch tour just has really a lot of personal like meaning for me. I've been to like 6 shows with Lane. My friend George, who passed away, who was in a car accident 13 years ago, I went to 2 shows with him. So those, I think I told you there were 13 shows in Jersey, and I think I went to 11. It was either there were 13 and I went to 11, or there were 11 and I went to 9.
Or 11 and you went to 13, which would have been
possibly. Yeah. But it was an incredible summer.
But to note, like, again, if you're not like an insane Bruce person, right, or even if you're just sort of passing by, the narrative in your head is he did Human Touch in Lucky Town, which outside of your experiences with it, were sort of regarded as this kind of off-rampy thing that he did. Okay, great. Like, most people think after that he just kind of vanished for a while, put out this kind of strange Tom Joad record, and then eventually got the band back together. He jokes in all the press materials, like, people thought the 90s were this lost period for me and I was working the whole time. Well, that is true, it was. But he was working on really weird shit. After the Human Touch tour, he went and did Philadelphia and was like, well, maybe I'll just make an album out of this. And then he thought, well, maybe I'll make a country album. Maybe I'll get the band back together. Maybe I'll make Tom Joad. Like, the fascinating part for me is, like, all these things are going on literally sometimes the same day. Like, that's insane to me.
Wait, his next proper record after Joad was The Rising? So 7 years?
7 years, yeah. And the tour was in there and some other stuff, but like...
Yeah, I remember I saw 2000 they went on tour, right?
99.
I saw him at MSG.
I saw one of the opening shows at Jersey, the one August 1st, 1999, which I remember because they played Troubled River for maybe the first and last time. If that song means anything to you, put a comment somewhere.
Troubled River? Is
Troubled
it the first
River.
song?
It was on 18 tracks. And it is just...
I guess we are sort of going record by record.
We're sort of going record by record.
Faithless.
What did you like out of the Loops record? What did you think about?
Which is the Loops record?
That's the Philadelphia record.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the one. And you mentioned liking a couple songs out of there, but was that interesting to you from a historical kind of standpoint? Really?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I think I'm too early in listening to this to be able to put each in its place.
Yeah.
Chronologically, like sequentially.
Yeah.
Like which is from, obviously the first one is In Between Nebraska and Born in the USA.
Yeah.
But like where the others fall, like Faithless, was that the soundtrack?
Faithless is the soundtrack. That's a little. I think, as I understand it, I think Inyo is maybe next because, or maybe not. I should look in. I should have fact checked
ordering
before we started.
No, Faithless is next.
Faithless is next. Oh,
I think. Tell me if I have this right. 83. Streets of Philly.
Yes.
Faithless, somewhere north of Nashville.
North of Nashville. Yeah.
Inyo, Twilight Hours, and Perfect World.
So that sounds right, and I think Inyo is something of a piece with Tom Joad, although obviously a lot more going on, and a mariachi band. And if I've been texting people about this, I'm like, I'm just going to start you with the mariachi song. We're just going to start with the mariachi songs and see how you feel about this, and we'll go.
Probably a good place to start.
It's probably a good place to start.
Yeah.
The other thing that I really love about this, and I feel like I'm taking over your
take it.
All right. Is we talked about this a little bit, the jumping around, the way that the timelines connect, how these songs jump around in time, and they go from Janie is a good example. They go from this album to that album. Somewhere North of Nashville is this weird little 2-minute interlude on Western Stars, which came out 5 years ago, whatever it was. But really, it's from an album 20 years before that. That it formed kind of the basis of this whole entire country album. Janie was this synthesizer outtake from USA that he's like, well, let's try it with a country album. Stand on It, kind of the same thing. Although Stand on It got really slowed down and kind of, I don't know. I like County Fair.
We were just playing that before we got on here.
I love to see, and you can see this with lyrics too, like The Highway's Alive Tonight, was on something in 1977 or whatever. It's fun to see how these things never really go away.
Yeah. So when, you haven't read the liner, or you saw, you were sent the liner notes.
Yeah.
So what year does this end? Like,
it ends.
Perfect World is what, like 96?
Perfect World is the one that was not originally conceived as an album. I think the last chronological one is Twilight Hours.
Perfect World's not that great.
It's basically like the rock songs that have been left over from the last 25 odd years. Some of them were from early 2000s, where he did those shows at MSG with just Joe Grishecki. I know Another Thin Line was played there. Code of Silence was, I don't even know if that's one thing. But like some of these songs, like
41 Shots was played all the time.
Yeah. But again, a lot of the songs on that one, I just had never heard of at all. And I actually kind of like that one. And I like that he threw it in there. I like that it's an E Street album, if more of those shows are coming. But it was not initially conceived as an album.
Yeah. Perfect World. That's the one I know the least. Mm-hmm. And it's only because it's the last one.
Well, and it's funny, I was playing it for my wife yesterday. We were driving up to the city, and I was like, I'm not going to play this one because she's like, yeah, this sounds like Bruce. I'm like, it sounds like Bruce. It's 10 Bruce songs. They're good songs, and I think that album is superior to the other things that he's done that, are kind of outtaky. But
I'm just trying to find the track listing.
That one is Another Thin Line is on that one. Really good song called Cutting Knife. It's hard to remember 83 song titles. Oh my God.
Yeah, and it's only been out, what, a week?
A week.
Today's what? Thursday? What day is today?
Today
Tuesday.
Is...
When you don't work, I have no idea. Somebody told me it was July 1st today. I was like, what?
That is
I
true.
thought it was like May.
That is true.
Here's the track listing.
Yeah.
Perfect. I'm Not Sleeping, which of course I thought was a Beatle. I thought it was I'm Only Sleeping.
Yeah.
That was like, are they covering Idiot's Delight?
Idiot's Delight's a great song.
Is it?
I like that. It's a like old time kind of Roadhouse stomper kind of song. It's great.
Rain in the River. That's a pretty good song.
That was the
right?
single. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that song has about 6 lines in it. Like, not a big song. And that one, I believe, if I've read it correctly, dates back to the 90s. And one thing we should say here also is that none of this, unlike some of that Darkness Box and some other things, none of this was re-recorded. Like no new vocals, none of that kind of stuff. So, which is cool because you can hear it on the Loops record. He sounds like 1993.
And how much of this is with the E Street Band?
Not
just that last set?
And not even really much of that. No, there's not much E Street on here at all.
Solo period.
Yeah. Huh. They will pop in from time, Roy's all over some things, and others will come in here and there, but it's not a lot.
I like that Somewhere North of Nashville is growing on me.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good record. You don't like it?
So, I am not a country fan by nature.
You like Wilco's country.
Wilco's like
you like Jason Isbell
country. Yeah, but like the idea of a country record, I was like, okay, like that one. My take on that one is like this man could make a country record, so he did. Why not? Like what do you think that took?
Western
Like
Stars was sort of a country record.
Kind of a country record, yeah. And there's
Jode is sort of a country record.
There's some songs here and there, but that one's just like full on, country chord progression.
Is that what Janie's on?
Janie's on that one, along with Detail Man, Repo Man, Delivery Man.
Yeah. And there's a lot of like God. There's one of the albums is a lot of God stuff. God Sent You, all God's Children.
That's Faithless.
A Prayer by the River.
Yeah.
He was speaking to the Lord during this one.
Like the idea of somewhere there was some movie, like we don't know anything about this movie at all. He kind of went out of.
And it was never released. But apparently it's still in production.
Still in production, and the liner notes don't say anything about it on purpose. He's like, I'm just gonna not talk about what this was, but obviously probably a Western of some kind.
Yeah, he loves the Westerns.
Does love the Westerns.
Yeah. And there's a Tracks 3 that is done, right? Is that true? I just heard about this yesterday.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Somebody posted Tracks 3 is done plus a full record, another new full.
I think that was the Rolling Stone interview where they asked him about that.
Rob Sheffield. Sheffield did that interview.
Might have been, Andy Green.
Is that his name? Rob Sheffield.
I can't remember now. But yeah, there's a Tracks 3, which he said is it. He's like, that's all, but it's 5 records. They're not complete albums, but
this is like 2000s.
He said this goes all the way back. What could be left? I mean, we're talking about Tracks 1, which you're going to go pick up.
Grab.
The box sets for Born to Run, Darkness, and The River, all of which had outtakes, all of which had different versions, all of which had extra stuff. The Essential Disc 3, High Hopes was kind of an outtakes collection. All EPs, B-sides, all that kind of stuff. And there's still 7 albums and then more after that.
I mean, a lot of people I've heard Their theory is he's 75.
Yep.
It's just like, I want to get this all out while I'm still here.
And I like that it came out while he's still around.
Because I think he probably has less control now, right? He sold most of it.
Sold most of it. Yeah, sold everything. Sold his catalog, yeah.
He sold the masters and the publishing.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Well, I talked about the first tracks.
You did?
In a previous video. This set is incredible, except for disc 4. Disc 4, I don't know how many times I've listened to it. A few. Sad Eyes I like. It's pretty
Leaving
good
Train, Seven Angels, those are pretty
Part
good.
Man, Part Monkey.
Okay, well listen, everybody has a reggae detour
Yeah.
they gotta take.
Brothers Under the Bridge, that's not bad.
That's a good song.
But I think
this is strong all the way.
I think if you were to take 12 tracks on this, it would be up there with Darkness and Born to Run as one of his.
Really?
Maybe not that close.
Wow.
But it would be
Did everybody hear that? Okay.
73 to 87. I always say every record is 5 stars except for Greetings.
Mm-hmm.
Greetings is like 4.5.
Okay.
4. But here's where I would go with that. If you put on let's see, Thundercrack.
Yep.
So funny, God. So many stories about Lane in the 90s. He would look for bootlegs just to try and find Thundercrack. Like, he thought that was definitely Bruce's best song ever.
Really?
So he would.
Have you ever heard it live?
Yeah, I've never heard it live.
I don't know if I have.
It was just such a mystery to him.
Yeah.
Like, it's probably because it's got the word thunder in it, and he was just scouring like live CDs. Remember how you used to live CDs, like bootleg CDs for like $40?
I remember in college I got into cassette tape trading, and I did it with my friend Ben French and some other friends in Indiana University in Bloomington. I did not
He
know.
mentions Indiana.
He does. First time ever.
Yeah,
About
yeah.
time.
Yeah.
It took him hanging out with Mellencamp to start dropping Indiana.
Yeah.
I didn't know prior to that bootlegs were a thing. I grew up in Indiana.
I grew up in Jersey. We had bootlegs everywhere. Dead bootlegs. And
I was shocked.
not much Bruce.
Not much Bruce, but like, I didn't know you could do that. So he was like, hey, you can send away, you can like trade tapes with these people. And all of a sudden it was like, oh my goodness. So then basically every day for years and years, eventually this turned into CDRs. There was a new thing showing up 2 or 3 times a week.
Yeah.
That was really fun. And it's one of those things, and I'm going to go full like nostalgic dad now, but like downloading something, just having all of that available if you know where to look, not as fun. Like getting a cassette in the mail, finding a white label LP somewhere at a Jersey store, like that's cool. Just
yeah. Well, I mean, did you have Midnight Madness where you were?
I did. I bought Pearl Jam Versus Midnight Madness.
I think I got Versus at Midnight Madness as well.
I bought the REM record, the New Adventures of Hi-Fi. I worked at the newspaper, the college newspaper, so like we would wrap up at midnight, and I could just basically pop over and pick up stuff left and right. It was awesome.
I know I got Wilco's first record there.
Yeah.
We stayed up till 5 in listening to it.
Really?
My buddy Brian and me. Wilco's first record, Sunvolt's first record.
You mentioned this a little bit earlier before we started recording. Like trying to find some sort of mirror to this or some sort of similar situation. Does Wilco have 7 finished albums?
No.
Do they have this many outtakes? Like I think
I'm sure they have tons of outtakes, and some of it's come out, right? They put that box that something Fox, not Yankee Hotel Foxtrot, but they put out another one that I think has Foxtrot in the name, and it's a bunch of B-sides, and
okay.
and it's good.
Yeah.
It's really good. It's
just
got a lot of the really early stuff. Don't You Honey Me, and I think True Love Will Find You in the End, Dan Johnson's song. But Wilco's consistently put out records for 30 years now, right?
30 years. What I'm just wondering is
will this happen with another artist?
Or has it happened and I don't know about it? I
couldn't name one artist who's even put out a record that they said, this is a record that I did 26 years ago.
And
how about it?
Yeah.
Is anybody? You said Prince, you thought?
Maybe Prince. I'm sure, like Neil Young. I just feel like
Neil Young.
Yeah,
Neil Young
there will be some of that somewhere, but just not to this degree. And it's especially weird for Bruce because Bruce is very famously selective. Neil Young, not selective. I don't know about Wilco, but Bruce does not put things out. And I mean, my God, he had 6-7 things done, and he was like, we'll save those for later. I just wonder, what are the vaults like for a Wilco or for whoever else you
Sunvolt.
Sunvolt. Yeah.
You're not into Sunvolt, are you?
I like Sunvolt.
Jamie, Don't You Lose Heart on tracks 2 sounds to me like Sunvolt's covering it.
Mm-hmm.
It's got a very similar pedal steel, and but Loose Ends, Where the Bands Are.
Oh my goodness.
Take Them As They Come, Be True. Be True is on Chimes of Freedom, right?
Yes, it was, but From the River, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah. Roulette's on here.
Roulette, Stolen Car, which is obviously on the river. Shut Out the Light, which we agree is one of his best songs. And then there's a few on Cynthia.
Okay, can I just take a moment?
Cynthia?
I love Cynthia.
Oh, I think you say you hate it.
I love Cynthia. I like
My
this
Love
one.
Will Not Let You Down. He
Yeah.
used that as an opener for
As an
most
opener
of the
for a while.
2000s, right?
Yeah.
You really love Cynthia, though?
I love Cynthia. It's
I like it
fantastic.
too.
It's such a fun song. Like the synthesizer is just it's so upfront and in your face that it's almost daring you not to like the song. I'm a big fan of that. But what you're describing here, I think these songs are tighter. This is a tighter collection. But now we've come to learn that when assembling tracks 1, he had this incredible wealth of things to pick from. Like this is 4 discs of material that numbered maybe 12 or 15, however many CDs are available. So like this was the first one, and this thing came out 27 years ago. This is
I don't think Tracks 2 was always in the plans. I think this is a recent
I agree.
decision. Like, let's
agree.
put that.
Well, and I think you're onto something.
Because he's like kind of shy. Whenever I get asked about it, he would shy away from, just like Nebraska Electric, which he now says, well, yes, there is.
I'm glad you brought this up. I love this part of the interview where Rolling Stone.
Didn't he just casually? He's like, oh yeah, I think.
Well, he was
Max
like, no,
told me we have that or
I can
something.
tell you right now, it doesn't exist. We didn't do it. He's like, and the interviewer, who was, I think might have been Andy Green, was saying like, really, because I talked to Roy and I've talked to Steve and these other people, and they really remember doing Electric Nebraska. Bruce is like, no, it didn't happen. We don't have it. And then they move on to the next question, and then there's a parenthetical, and he says, about a month later, I get a text from a Jersey number I don't know. And it's like, hey Andy, I'm saying, hey Andy, it's Bruce. Turns out we do have an Electric Nebraska. It's not the whole album, but we did record it. Anyway, thought you'd like to know. All best, Bruce. So I love
That's
this.
gotta be coming out.
I love this because of this reason. You and I are longtime fans. People watching, probably, if they've made it this far, are longtime fans.
Here we are.
Electric, we are 4 hours in.
No, yeah, we're close.
Electric Nebraska,
We
if
have
you
40 minutes in.
don't know about it, we'll wrap this up pretty quick. Yeah.
Pretty soon.
Has achieved, if the Loops record is a mythical thing,
I
Electric
can't think
Nebraska
of a
is-
record by any artist that I listen to that has more hype built
Yes.
up over, just because Nebraska, as a stripped down record, is obviously one of the greatest records ever made. There's a movie coming out soon. Maybe it's a companion with the movie.
That's my guess, but for what you're saying, which I think is absolutely true, it is this mythical thing that everybody's waiting for, and Bruce fucking forgot about it. He forgot about it. And I think that is instructive for those of us who are on the outside looking at this, like, what else do you have? What else do you have? Tell us more, give us all these things. The man who made the record is like, it's over there. It's in the box with the skis and my DVDs and the Matrix is in there. I just, like, he forgot about it. That is fascinating to me. That to me is my favorite anecdote out of this entire press run with Tracks 2. We put all this importance on this stuff. He might not.
Sure.
Yeah.
So what do we know about Tracks 3? Anything?
The only thing that has come out is that it spans the breadth of his career, so 50 years, not complete records, and it's the end.
And it's coming soon?
That's it. I don't know that they put a release date on it. He did say he has a solo record in the can that may come out next year.
That he's recently recorded.
Recently recorded, yeah. No details about that one. And that is how I first learned, just to wrap this back up and get back to Tracks 2, how I first learned about Twilight Hours. This is the Sinatra record. This is the one.
I'm not crazy about that one.
It's.
Ask me in 2 weeks and I'll say it's as good as Darkness.
You are a lot to deal with when that happens. It is, but even with that, with a country record, why not, right? Like he's at home, he's got his own stuff. He probably wrote that record in 4 days.
Yeah.
Like, why not?
Yeah.
You know the story of "I'll Stand by You," the song.
Mm-hmm.
This is the one that was supposed to go in the Harry Potter movie. This was the
Harry
song.
Potter movie.
Yeah, true story. The song "I'll Stand by You" was either pitched or requested or something for the first Chris Columbus Harry Potter movie back in like 2001. The very, very first one. And it didn't happen for whatever reason. The song turns up on the soundtrack to Blinded by the Light, which is the great movie that came out just a little bit ago. And it's fun.
You'd say great.
It was great. I enjoyed it. It was fun.
That's the last thing I want to get to Bruce movies.
Okay.
Before we close out.
Because we got one of those coming up.
Yeah.
But I think another thing that we were saying earlier about the song was jumping in time. Here's a song that's at least 25 years old. Ends up as kind of the centerpiece of this record, which is a weird record for Bruce, and maybe not something we go back to, but even on this record that we're not going to go back to, there's this little beating heart of this incredibly pretty, incredibly sweet song. And I think, the last line of my little review was even if you're not into this whole thing as a piece, if you like anything about Bruce, if you've ever been into him at all, you're going to find something in here, maybe a lot of some things that you're really going to like.
That's what you said about this.
Yeah.
Tracks too. Yeah. Springsteen movies. Either, there's a bunch, right? Springsteen and I.
Springsteen and I, which I submitted a thing for.
You know my story about Springsteen and I.
No, I don't.
Do you remember the movie?
I submitted a video to the movie.
Remember the truck driver? The Asian truck driver?
Yeah. Why are you laughing? We need to pause this.
No.
Okay.
I may edit this out. Like a few months after that movie came out, it's crazy. I went on a date, like a app date, whatever, Hinge or whatever it was, and it was in this neighborhood, and I didn't live here. It
Really?
was this restaurant right down the block, and it was her.
No kidding.
I walk in, I sit down, and I'm like, wait. You in the Bruce Springsteen
Really?
documentary? She's like, you saw that? I was like, come on.
How did you not end up marrying this person? Like this?
We dated for
the ultimate.
We dated
for
for a month or so. We went record shopping. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, 51. I'm still single. That probably answers that question. She was very cool. I've lost touch with her.
We should edit this out.
This is staying out. This is gonna be the entire video, just the story. But she was great in that movie. I think she talked about Nebraska when she was like traveling through Middle America. Springsteen and I was good. Remember, there was the story about when he gave the guys last row and gave them like first row tickets or whatever.
Yeah.
I think they're an Irish couple or something.
I don't remember something like that. Light of Day. What about Light of Day?
I don't remember Light of Day.
That's not a Bruce movie per se outside of the song, but it was Joan Jett and Michael J. Fox.
Yeah. God, he used to play Light of Day all the time. That was like a huge highlight.
And it was like 47 minutes long.
Yeah, it was great. Yeah. What was the last one you said?
Blinded by the Light.
I thought that was cute.
Very sweet movie. Very sweet movie. I liked how they did that. What about that trailer for the Jeremy Allen White movie?
I think it looks great. I'm a big fan of Jeremy Allen White.
Yes.
They say he sounds just like him, and like the one video where he's like singing in the mic and then he does the guitar, the jump with the guitar. It's like spot on.
It's gonna be so weird. And this is my first experience, I think, seeing a movie, one with an active band, a band that is still around. I think that's a little weird. I think it's strange to make a movie about people that are still here. And when you're so used to seeing,
but it's so long ago. It's 40 years ago. Right?
It's 40 years
Nebraska.
ago. But like,
I have
this guy's still here. He's standing right there. Like, he's still doing his thing. And seeing the movie version of that is going to be weird because talk about a thing you can't capture with actors. I think that's going to be a little bit a lot to deal with. I will say, I've not read the book. I've heard wonderful things about the book. I don't believe Warren Zaynes. Yes, I don't believe the dialogue in the trailer comes from the book. I don't think that's.
I read half the book.
Yeah,
couldn't finish it.
Why?
I didn't dislike it. It was just I know all this stuff, right? It was like I've heard this story before.
Do you find that in general? I mean, there's obviously loads of Bruce books. New ones come out all the time. I find I don't.
My favorite Bruce book, I think, was called It Ain't No Sin to Be Glad You're Alive.
Oh yeah.
Did you read that one?
I did.
I read it a long time ago, 25 years ago.
Yep.
I loved it. So I don't know if I'd like it now, but I've read Born to Run, which I thought was good.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see him on Broadway? You saw him on Broadway.
I did see him on Broadway. Interesting thing about Broadway is I went to one of the preview shows, like the second or third or fourth show, and I took my wife, and she mentioned, because she's been dragged to loads of these things, and is a fan and loves going to the shows, but she was like, I wish I had seen the Broadway show before you dragged me to all this other stuff, because it filled in gaps, like people that aren't big Bruce fans, they know like, okay, he's got the songs about the factories and he didn't like his dad and he likes baseball or whatever. But like the Broadway show really fleshed the story out, and I think she was really affected by it. in a
It
positive
was a
way.
good show.
It was a great show.
I think I was sitting next to Tim Robbins.
Really?
Yeah. I know he was online getting a drink in front of me, and I think he was like a few seats away.
So afterwards, Landau was hanging out and just like shaking people's hands and taking a couple
Really?
pictures. And so I just went over and said hi and said thanks. And as we were leaving, this was not me. Somebody shouted to Landau like across the theater, kind of thing. He's like, "John, what's his secret?" And Landau shouts back without missing me. He goes, "Good management."
That was at Broadway?
theater. Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
After the show.
I mean, John Landau does seem to be a pretty fantastic manager. He's managed his career incredibly well.
He's done fine. He's
Yeah.
done fine. The guy who plays Jeremy Strong in the movie, that looks good. I'm worried about it.
Oh, yeah,
I didn't like
Jeremy
this.
Strong plays Landau. That looked weird.
I didn't love the trailer. I didn't love the Dylan trailer, and people that I respect said that movie was great. So complete
go to
on.
that. It's funny. This is the opposite of what happens to me with records. I loved A Complete Unknown when I first saw it, but there's something about it. I bought it.
Yeah.
I got
there it is.
the Blu-ray up there, and I'm not really interested in seeing it again. I don't know why. But it was good.
What does it take? This is why I hesitated to wrap this up by going back to the beginning on the $400 vinyl purchase. One, because that's a lot of money, but also like how often, and not just this box. How often do you go back to re-listen to things now? I mean, Jason, we both love Jason Isbell. He put out a record a couple months ago. Fantastic record. Loved it. All his records are good. I listened to it a lot when it came out.
Which record are you talking about?
Foxes in the Snow.
Oh.
Yeah.
God, that record's been forgotten. I don't hear anybody talking about that record.
Well, it was like 3 or 4 months ago now.
Yeah.
But that's what I mean. Like, there's so many other things coming out all the time. How does anything stick?
So I have all my box sets in a separate area, and I almost never go to them.
Many of them are still in the plastic.
Yeah, and I'm trying to change that.
Yeah.
But I am at the point in record collecting, which we talked about this a little bit before we started. I watched a video the other night, some random vinyl community guy who was like, I got it all. Like, he's like, he went to a record store and he's like, I don't need anything.
Yep.
And I'm sort of at that point. I have, I think about 3,000 records, and there's like 1 or 2 that I'm still looking for, which I don't even know if there are. Like, the original Jayhawks record was a big one for me. I found that, now that Discogs, you can get anything. I got the first Jayhawks record on Discogs. The Beatles mono, that just got reissued.
It did.
And it's sold out already.
Yeah.
Did you get it?
I did not.
I didn't either.
Yeah.
But I think when I talk about records on this channel, usually it's stories, like we're talking about here. And it's records that I already have, like pressings and all that. I mean, I love that I have Wild the Innocent as like a high MoFi or
the MoFi, the little skinny one. Yeah.
That and Greetings.
Mm-hmm.
And God, I hope Born to Run and Darkness get a treatment
They
like
would
that.
have to, right?
Yeah.
They would have to at some point.
And then those like later, like Yankee Hotel Foxtrot, I hope gets a MoFi treatment.
You want a bigger box. For
Yeah.
Hotel Foxtrot. You want
Like 9 copies of
5
that.
inches wide. Okay.
But it is weird when you sort of look around. I've been collecting records since I was a kid.
Yep.
Like I was never like jumped into a scene. Like when I was in college, I bought records in the '90s. Lane and I used to go to record stores all over New Jersey, and when I visit them in Chicago or Ohio, Minneapolis, we were always buying records. But like all my favorite artists, Neil Young, Springsteen, Wilco, Dylan, Stones, Beatles, I have all their records.
Yep.
And I bought every reissue.
Yeah.
Right?
Even the Goat's Head Soup one.
And then, why don't we wrap with this? Who are you excited about that's new-ish? We'll each name 2 or 3.
New-ish.
I'll start.
No problem. Yeah. Okay. You're gonna have to because I'm gonna have to.
I'm gonna say MJ Lenderman.
Yes.
I love his last record. And I've shared this, but he did an in-store in Asheville where my younger brother John lives.
Mm-hmm.
And my brother John just said he's like the sweetest, most down-to-earth. Like
the best.
He met my nephew. There's a picture, and MJ Lenderman's got a big smile on his face.
No.
He's like really close with Waxahachie.
Mm-hmm.
He's doing Sky. Did you see the Sky Blue Sky?
No, I didn't.
So Sky Blue Sky, which is in Mexico in January, it's Wilco, MJ Lenderman, Waxahachie, the Jayhawks, Dinosaur Jr., and a couple I'm forgetting.
Mm-hmm.
It's good.
It's good. All right.
And apparently it's almost sold out.
Are we going to Mexico?
We'll get those right when we get off. So I would say definitely MJ Lenderman. He's probably my top recent artist that I'm really excited about. And I'm seeing him again in September.
Where's
I
he
saw him in Santa Cruz a couple months ago, and he's playing the Fox in Oakland.
Oh wow!
So he's already
So
he's graduating
fast,
to bigger venues quickly. You name one. I'll look at my Last FM.
You're gonna go to Last FM. Check your scrubbles.
Yeah.
I'm gonna punt this one a little bit. There's a couple bands that I'm into, but we'll be 50 this year, and you slow down with that sort of thing. You're
like you ended this with the worst question.
You really did. Okay, so this is not a new band, and none of these are gonna be new bands. But I have my 13-year-old son, and he's into music and he plays music. He's in the School of Rock, which is an absolutely fantastic program and organization. Cannot say enough good things about it. I took Kieran and his friend last week to Metallica. Metallica played the football stadium.
Yeah.
They had never seen him. I'd seen him one time before. Not a huge Metallica fan, but I got into them through the School of Rock and Kieran's band and following Metallica. So I'm kind of like watching him find his way through bands that I like, that you liked. School of Rock and organizations like this, they're going to program vintage acts because the dads and the moms are paying the bills, they're going to do Green Day and Weezer, and that's great. But it's really fun to watch these kids go through bands that you already went through. So like Chili Peppers, Metallica, Green Day, early albums. Because you have your opinions, and they're probably set, right? You're probably...
Oh, they're set.
Yeah. But... he's helping me realize, like, oh, well, this part is good, or this song is good, or I didn't catch that this was happening. And getting that from a different generation is really fun. I will end by saying, didn't have great seats for Metallica, but they were in the round, so there were kind of no bad seats. It was me, the two kids, and my buddy. You have never seen two kids or anybody have a better time at a concert than these two kids in Metallica. 13 years old.
What about you at a Jimmy Buffett concert?
That's up there. But just, remember when you were talking about go-to shows? They were just there, and that was all that mattered. They were just there. They didn't worry about parking. Phones weren't out. They weren't complaining about the price of beer or the t-shirts or the loud guy behind it. And they were just like, holy shit, we're at the concert, and they're playing, Seek and Destroy, or they're playing Master Puppet. Like, they... lost their mind. Seeing a 13-year-old get like legitimately excited about something does not happen every day, and it just reminded me, like, this still works. This still works.
I remember, you've heard me tell this story a million times. I got the ticket stub on my desk. 11 years old, seeing Springsteen at Giant Stadium.
There you go.
That's why this is all. Yeah. Why I've worked in music for 30 years. Why all of my money goes towards music. It was. I'll just never forget the feeling, and I can't remember, it might have been Bobby Jean, when I just, like, everyone was, it was the Born in the USA tour, so it was one of the biggest tours ever, right? Michael Jackson and Springsteen were massive at that time, and I just remember looking around. Giant Stadium, I think, fit 80,000 people, and everyone singing along, and I was like, whatever all of this is that's happening, this is me.
Yeah.
Like, I'm in the middle of it right now, and I don't ever want to leave it. Like, so to my father, who took me to that show, thank you. So kicked it off.
That seems like a good place to wrap it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And want to talk about Jeff Tweedy's solo albums, or?
Are you into Jeff Tweedy? Are you like a fan of his?
All right, this was great. We'll do it. We might do it for tracks 3.
We'll do it for tracks 3, or whatever the next Jimmy Buffett box set is. We can do it for
yeah. All right. Thanks for joining.
Thanks for having me. It was a lot of fun.